Throughout my life, I've had three different father figures. My biological father, my father-in-law, and then a boyfriend that my mom had after my parents had divorced when I was younger. All three of those men had very strong music opinions. And starting off with my dad, he played a lot of instruments. He had essentially a little traveling musical group comprised of his brothers and sisters that would go to different churches, and they would play instruments, predominantly in New York, and they had a blast performing. Just entertaining the small groups that were in the congregations. But my dad also liked all types of music. So I saw a lot of instruments throughout the house. He could play the guitar, he could play the drums, trumpet, saxophone. I'm sure he played other things. Well, yeah, the slide guitar was another one. So I always had access to instruments. I got to play drums for a little bit, but never really, invested that much time and practice into learning the craft. Just would goof around on it. And over time, I ended up picking up the trombone. My brother knows how to play the trumpet. Sister's playing the clarinet. And my other brother got to play the recorder too. So I'm sure everybody of a certain age, when they were younger, they all learned how to play the recorder. But anyway, so over the course of time, a lot of music was pushed out from the late 70s up into the 2000s. I got a lot of exposure because I was in the band and in high school and middle school. And I ended up just getting access to so many different genres of music from all of my bandmates. People would be playing hype music on the school bus as we were going to different competitions and tournaments. And we had such a blast, like sharing music. It was the heyday when hip hop was going through the roof. Public Enemy, EPMD, Eric B. Rakim, all of those. But at the same time, MTV was coming out, and there was a lot of alternative music, a lot of pop music, rock music, heavy metal. And I got a chance to be exposed to all of that. And it really was an amazing time growing up in the early 80s and leading into, 90, 95, where there was just such a collection of artists that were releasing music that was excellent. For me, it couldn't be ignored. I did not want to stay in just one box, and because of my upbringing, I didn't want to only listen to one style of music. I felt like I was compelled to just branch out and listen to anything that I could get my hands on. So you fast forward a little bit later, I get out of the military. I end up meeting my soon-to-be wife, and I find out that her dad was a DJ for a while. So in the early 80s, while my dad was playing instruments, in churches and just different bands, my father-in-law was out DJing weddings and parties and all of that. So he amassed a massive collection of 45s and albums from both working at radio stations and as a entertainment DJ. Playing parties and all of that, but part of his day job was actually working at a radio station. So he was able to talk up a record like the old school guys would do, and I'm sure they're doing today, where they're trying to fill in some time before the cool part of the song kicks in, and then you're able to listen to the music. But unfortunately he recently passed, but I was given his record collection just to hold on to it. And those are the 45s and the different albums that I've been posting on my YouTube shorts. So I've been having a really good time with that and sharing that all with you. I see that there's a great appreciation for that music that he, collected. A lot of the songs I do know. Again, I never wanted to hold myself into just one genre of music. There are definitely some that I don't know as much as others, country being one of them. But a quick story on that, while I was in boot camp, there was a guy, so a lot of us were from the East Coast, a bunch of us were from the South, some from the Midwest, and then others from, the West Coast. And there was a guy who came from Tennessee, and during the time Garth Brooks was really big. So he would sing a couple of Garth Brooks songs before we all went to bed. And there were a lot of us that was our first exposure to country music. And we would just listen to this guy, so sincere in his singing. And it was just rich and comforting. Just to go through all of the events that we needed to go through in boot camp in order to prepare you for military life. There was something that grounded you at the end of the night, and I really did appreciate that a lot. Hearing the one song is it's called Shameless. That's the one that I remember the most, and I know New York State of Mind, which I believe Billy Joel, he created that one, but I'm not 100% sure, so someone's gonna have to fact check that one for me. But it was just an excellent time, and it was just yet another example of me being introduced to music that I would not have heard otherwise, and just developing an appreciation, because at the end of the day, everybody that is a musician is just looking to express themselves and entertain. And I just think that that's cool. No matter where you look, that's what those artists are doing. So the segue into my mother's boyfriend, after the divorce, he was a guy that essentially felt a lot like I did, where he just didn't want to be put into one category. He loved all types of music. He played, now I'm going to struggle. He played the piano and forget what other instrument, but he was also a singer, and he would play percussion. Yeah, so he had like bongos, African style drums, etc. And that was just yet another avenue that I hadn't gone down. So things like purely music from Africa, Middle East, those types of stringed instruments, and then just the vibe that he was going for was really eclectic, essentially like a nomad, but it was like drum circles and things like that, that you could think that's the type of thing that he did. But it was just, world music that I started to think about, that things just didn't need to be expressed through just electric means or by singing. It could just all be felt. And I would just remember him talking about that things were vibrations. And that was just always interesting, something that I had never considered. But what I'm going to be doing moving forward with this channel is that I do want to do these style of videos where I want to just talk about, different songs and artists that I've been exposed to, potentially do music reaction videos to essentially recreate the vibe that I was feeling back then, and what got me into the band in the first place and all of that. So I hope you tune in. I hope you like this format. I will try and continue putting the shorts out as well. Again, I am not going to stick to one genre. It has given me a different perspective of the world. If you only listen to one voice in the world, you're limiting yourself. I was going to say doomed. I don't want to go that dramatic, but you are limiting yourself. You get to see other people's perspectives, and you can adopt some of those and just grow. So I hope to see you on the next one. I hope everyone is well, And I hope you have a great night. Bye.